Gravitas, co-presented by Skoda. Kushak, choose what really matters.
And all this chaos benefits just one party, Pakistan. Their prodigal sons are ruling Kabul. Their prime minister says Afghans have broken the shackles of slavery. Apparently, the Taliban are emancipators, not terrorists. The Pakistani deep state adores the Taliban. They're like a hired gun, they think. Point them at Kashmir, point them at Central Asia, the Taliban will readily agree. But what about the Pakistani people? Do they also like the Taliban? Well, the answer is yes and no. There's a video that has gone viral on Pakistani social media. It's a short interview with a Pakistani girl. She was asked two questions. Number one, do you support the Taliban? Her answer was very clear. Yes, I'm with the Taliban. The next question, though, was a bit tricky. What if the Taliban ruled Pakistan? Here's how she responded.
I'm with Taliban.
You're with the Taliban?
Yes, yeah.
What if the Taliban were in the government here?
No.
No,
I don't
you don't want that.
I don't want that.
You don't want that.
No, I don't want that.
But it's okay in Afghanistan.
Talk about hypocrisy. You're okay with the Taliban as your neighbor, but not as your landlord. And let me tell you this. This is not a one-off. Gallup conducted a survey on the Taliban's popularity in Pakistan. Here's what they found. 55% people were happy with the Taliban's takeover. 55% people in Pakistan. Only 25% were unhappy. 20% could not care less. So to all the Taliban sympathizers, to everyone giving them a second chance, here's a question. Would you live under the Taliban? Would you vote them to power in your country? If not, you have no right to comment. We've seen shocking remarks from so-called policymakers. The US State Department says the Taliban are businesslike. Britain's top general calls them country boys. Great. So why don't you put them in the White House or Downing Street? Well, they won't, because these people are sitting thousands of miles away. They live in democracies. They have a constitution and a Bill of Rights. Why should Afghans be denied that same right? And I'll tell you what the problem is. None of these countries actually like the Taliban, not America, not Britain, deep down perhaps not even Pakistan. It's all about politics of convenience. Pakistan gets strategic leverage from the Taliban, a proxy to stir trouble against India, an excuse to get money from the West. What about the US? In the 1980s, they used the Mujahideen to get back at the Soviets. Today, they are partners in the war against ISIS-K, ISIS Khorasan, the lesser evil apparently. Same with China. They openly support the Taliban, but crush Islamic thought in Xinjiang. The bottom line is this: the Taliban are just pawns. They're not liberators, they're not an inspiration, just pawns. Pakistani people may support them, but they're disgusted by their ideology. They hate the idea of living under the Taliban, and who wouldn't, frankly? And can you compartmentalize extremism? Can you support the Taliban in Afghanistan and oppose their ideology at home? You cannot. You should not. Terror groups in Pakistan are emboldened. And here's what they think. If the Taliban can do it, then why not them? Why can't they topple the Pakistan government? The biggest threat is the TTP, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. They're basically an ideological cousin of the Afghan Taliban. The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. They operate in Pakistan. Since the fall of Kabul, they have stepped up their offensive. In the month of August alone, there were 22 attacks, 7 in North Waziristan, 13 in South Waziristan, and 1 each in the districts of Mardan and Bannu. At least 52 Pakistani security personnel were killed. This month, there have been 3 attacks already, all of them in Balochistan. At least 9 security personnel have been killed. This is the return on Pakistan's investment in Afghanistan, suicide bombings and landmines. There is no difference between the Afghan Taliban and the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. One of them won the war, the other is still fighting. That's the only difference. The Pakistani deep state is oblivious to this, it seems. The Taliban still haven't denounced the TTP. In fact, last month they released hundreds of TTP terrorists from Afghan jails. Plus, they have not recognized the Durand line yet. The border that separates Afghanistan and Pakistan. The one that Pakistan wants Afghanistan to recognize, the Durand line. And this is where Islamabad gets it wrong. They underestimate the Taliban's Pashtun identity. Look at their cabinet. 30 out of 33 ministers are Pashtuns. And this ethnic brotherhood is a boost for the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. They can always count on help from across the border. Unlike Afghanistan, the stakes are much higher here. Pakistan may not be a rich state, but it's a nuclear state. What if terrorists get their hands on this nuclear arsenal? That is the big worry for the world, and that is why the West keeps going back to help Pakistan. Not out of love, but out of fear. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.
Gravitas, co-presented by Skoda. Kushak, choose what really matters.